It was thoroughly, thoroughly horrible. A patrol would be, your period out of port would be on average about 8 weeks. Most of the U-boats of the U-boat fleet were what was known as a Type 7, which was an updated version actually of the U-boat they had at the end of the First World War. It's a pretty primitive weapon. In terms of the interior size, I'd always describe it as about two underground carriages, full of torpedoes, huge diesel engines, absolutely no space at all, and it has a crew of 50. And they have to work, sleep, have their downtime, be on duty, off duty, all the rest of it. So it's a pretty tough environment. There's only one space in a Type 7 where two grown men can kind of get past each other without sort of, shuffling in a slightly embarrassed fashion. On the 8 weeks, they go with all the food that they've got, which is a lot of fresh stuff, which runs out after 2 weeks. And then they've got, a lot of tinned food, or they try and scavenge stuff from, if they're lucky enough to sink a freighter that's carrying some marmalade, they might try and scavenge it from the wreckage. It's almost a sort of piratical existence that they have. Because they're all living on top of each other, skin diseases become rife. They don't tend to wash, is another thing, because fresh water is rationed, right? You might literally just sort of wash your face with fresh water, but that's it. So they fundamentally don't wash for 8 weeks. They have one change of underwear for 8 weeks. That's all they're permitted. So they stink. They get scurvy because the food is generally poor. I mean, the food is good up to the point that the fresh food runs out, and then it's tinned stuff. They're lacking vitamin C. So the old nemesis of the naval personnel, scurvy, makes a reappearance in the U-boat war. So their teeth are falling out. They've got scabies and various skin diseases. And, there's a thing called red dog they used to get, which was a sort of skin infection that just made everything red raw, or from your neck down, a sort of torso. And there's this thing called the U-boat stink, which is a combination of all those things. Diesel, because they've got two massive diesel engines there that are constantly leaking. Mold, because everything's damp all the time. Halitosis from the scurvy. Body odour. The last one is vomit, because, everyone's seasick all the time because you're in this tiny thing in the open sea. So if you imagine all of that rolled together, it's a pretty grim existence. Sleeplessness, days turn into night because you generally spend the day below the surface to avoid being seen. So it takes a huge mental toll and also a physical toll on the submariners themselves. It's in all of the accounts, just the sheer toll that it took on them.